Disclaimer: this story is point to boy. If you're uncomfortable, then you can leave. This is pure imaginary story. Please don't relate this with any idol. Whatever pics I used in this story aren't mine. I downloaded them from Google and Pinterest. The credit of the pics goes to the owner. Author's point of view. Yoongi brought banana milk for Jimin. TaeKook visited Yoonmin mansion and teased knows about Yoonmin's wedding. Next day, Jimin went to college and happily submitted his assignments, but at second last period, professor called him inside his cabin and accused him to not submitted his assignments. Jimin kept saying the truth, but professor didn't believe on him and slapped him. Professor told him to apologize, but he didn't apologize because it wasn't his fault. Let's see what happens next. Professor, now follow me to the principal's office. Jimin followed him to the principal's office while hanging his head low. His eyes were full of tears, but he controlled himself. He doesn't want to cry in front of him. If he cries, then it shows he is weak, and he isn't weak. He wiped his tears quickly and entered inside the principal's office. Professor knocked the door. May I come in, sir? Principal, yes, come in. Professor, good afternoon, sir. Principal, good afternoon, Professor. You came here at this time. Is there anything wrong? Professor, yes, I came here to complain about him, Jimin. Principal looked at Jimin. Yeah, sure. Have a seat and tell me what's the matter. Professor sat on the chair. Thank you, sir. So he is a final year student, Park Jimin. I gave assignments before the vacation and yesterday was the submission date. But he didn't completed his assignments, so I gave him one extra day to submit his assignments. Principal, okay. Jimin, why didn't you submit your assignment yesterday? Jimin said sincerely, I went to my grandparents' house. After that, I changed my house as well as all this happened too fast, so I forgot to do my assignments. I told him everything yesterday itself. Principal, he gave you one extra day, right? Then why didn't you submit today? Jimin, yes, sir, I already submitted my assignments in his office in the morning. Principal to professor, when he already submitted his assignment, then why did you come here to complain? Professor, he is lying, sir. He hasn't submitted any assignments. Jimin, sir, I'm not lying. I never lie. I submitted my assignment in his cabin. Professor, then where is the assignments? I didn't get any assignment in my office. Jimin, how could I know? I went to my class after submitting the assignments. Professor, don't argue. Jimin, I'm not arguing, I'm telling the truth. Professor, shut up. Don't you have any manners to talk with your professor? Jimin, I have. Cut off. Principal, shut up both of you, and you, Jimin. This isn't the way to talk with your elders, especially with your professor. Jimin, sorry, sir. Principal, say sorry to your professor. Jimin, I'm sorry, sir, but I will never apologize for the mistake which I haven't done. Professor, see, sir, he is a mannerless boy. Jimin, I'm not a mannerless, sir. My parents teach me enough manners. They taught me. Don't take much time to apologize if it's your mistake, but never apologize for the thing which you never did. I never cut off. Slap. He was cut off by the hard slap on his left cheek. He held his cheek with his right hand and looked forward to see who slapped him. Professor shouts, don't you dare to say more. First do mistake, then lie. After that argue with your professor. I can see how much well-mannered you are. Principal, behave yourself, both of you. You are in front of me. Professor, control yourself. You can't slap him like that. And you, Park Jimin, call your parents right now. I want to talk to them. Jimin, but sir, my parents live in UK, United Kingdom. Professor, one more lie. You don't feel the slightest shame while lying. You lie like a water. Principal, Professor, behave yourself. Let him complete his sentence. Professor, but he is lying, sir. His parents live in Seoul. Before the vacation, I met them. They didn't tell me that they were going to settle in the UK. Jimin to Principal, I'm not lying, sir. They permanently settled in the UK. They didn't tell him anything because they themselves don't know about this. Everything happened so sudden. Principal, okay then give me your parents' number. I will personally call them. Jimin gave them his parents' number. Principal called them, but it was no use because their phones were switched off. Principal, give me any other number. This number is switched off. Jimin, I don't have any other number, sir. Principal, then give me your local guardian's number. I want to talk to him. Hearing this, his soul left his body. Yoongi's were roaming inside his mind. I don't want any complaints from your college. If I got, then consequence will not be good for you. He starts shivering just by the thought of Yoongi. Principal noticed this. Principal, I'm waiting for your answer. Jimin, sorry sir, he is very busy. He can't talk with you right now. He wasn't lying. Yoongi was taking classes at this time. He can't talk with him. Professor, sir, see, one more lie. Principal, I'm seeing everything. Just give me his number. I will see by myself how much busy he is. Jimin gave Yoongi his number. Principal, he isn't picking my call. Jimin, I told you, sir, he is busy. He can't pick anyone's call at this time. Principal, I want that assignment tomorrow in my office. Jimin, but sir, I already submitted. Principal, but he didn't get. If you can write for one time, then you can write again in one day. Jimin, but sir. Principal, don't argue with me. Do what I said. Now you can go. Jimin wanted to argue, but he couldn't do. What can he do? Principal never gonna support him. After all, it's their college reputation. Professor has the support of principal, but he was all alone. No one has his side. He bowed to principal and left from his office. Meanwhile, with Cook was hella worried for Jimin. He went to professor's cabin in last period but didn't return back. Their classes were already over. Cook straight went to T's cabin and said, Cook, knock the door. May I come in, sir? T from inside. Yes, come in. Cook came inside. First he see T was alone or not. Once he confirmed that T was all alone, he straight went to T and said, Cook, worried. T, Jimin is missing. T went to him. First take a deep breath and tell me everything. Cook. T, one professor called Jimin in his cabin in second last period, but he didn't return back. T, calm down, let me check. Did you check him inside professor's cabin? Jimin, yeah, I checked him everywhere, even in washroom too, but he wasn't anywhere. I'm too worried. What if something happened to him? T, calm down, Cook. Nothing gonna happen to him. Let's search him again. Don't worry, we will definitely find him. Now come with me. Meanwhile, with Jimin went to his class for taking his bag. The class was empty. Everyone already left from there. He picked his bag and went outside of the college where he always waited for Yoongi. He ran to that place because he was late. He reached at his as usual place and sighed in relief to not find Yoongi's car. He covered his face with hoodies, cap, sunglasses and mask so that Yoongi can't see his face. Within 2 minutes, Yoongi came there. Yoongi stopped the car. Jimin, come inside. Jimin went inside the car and sat on passenger's seat. Yoongi tied his seat belt and started the car. Yoongi, while driving, hey kid, why are you wearing sunglasses and mask? Jimin tried to behave normally. Nothing. Yoongi, in mind, why is he stuttering? There is definitely something wrong. He always comes to me happily. And Bunny Boy? Where is he? I didn't saw him with Jimin today. Did they both fight? He never behaved like that. Yoongi patted Jimin's hair. Hey kid, what happened? You usually talk a lot. Why are you silent? Is anything happened between you and Bunny Boy? Jimin shook his head. No. His eyes were full of tears, but Yoongi can't see because he was wearing sunglasses. Yoongi, remove this mask and sunglasses. Jimin, scared. But why? Yoongi, because I said. Jimin didn't remove his mask and sunglasses, so Yoongi stopped the car on the side and removed his mask and sunglasses by himself. His eyes started red and nerves started popping out after seeing his face and teary eyes. He didn't ask anything from him and turned the car towards his college with full speed. Soon they reached at the college. Jimin was more scared to see Yoongi in this state. He never see him this much angry. Yoongi stopped the car at the entrance of the college. Yoongi, Jimin, come out. Jimin, why we again come here, Yoongi shouts, Jimin, come out fast. When Jimin didn't come out, then he went to Jimin's side and made him outside of the car. He grabbed his arm and made him stand in front of him. Jimin doesn't dare to look at him. Yoongi forcefully made him look into his eyes. He placed his right hand on his left red and puffy cheek. It was burning because of that much slapped. He was very sensitive. Yoongi in soft voice. Jimin, tell me who did this? Jimin couldn't able to hold himself anymore and he started crying loudly while hugging him tightly. They were in front of college but no one was there. Yoongi hates his kinship but seeing Jimin crying like this, he couldn't hold himself and hold him tightly in his embrace. He started stroking his hairs gently by his one hand and with another hand hugged him tightly. He didn't say anything, he let Jimin cry out. After 10 minutes, Jimin is separated from him and said, Jimin, while sobbing hard, so sorry, Yoongi wiped his tears with his hands. Don't say sorry, okay? Tell me who slapped you, controlled his anger. Jimin, Professor. Yoongi, mad as hell. Is it your mistake? Jimin shook his head. No, it's not. But before he could complete his sentence, Yoongi grabbed his arm and started dragging him towards principal's office. Jimin kept wiggling in his hold, but Yoongi has more power than him. In principal's office, he was angry but not forget his basic manners. He knocked the door and entered inside after getting permission. Principal, yes, mister. How can I help you? Yoongi, angry as hell. I wanna meet the professor who beat him. Principal, who's professor? I can't understand anything. First have a seat, then tell me everything. Yoongi sat on the chair. What do you mean by who's professor? He turned around and found Jimin wasn't there. Yoongi shouts, come inside, kid. Jimin came inside and stood in front of principal and beside Yoongi. Yoongi ordered, look up. Jimin followed Yoongi's order and looked up. Principal, Park Jimin. Yoongi, yes, Park Jimin. Now call the professor who beat him, said in cold and scary voice. Principal, sir, please calm down. You get angry without any reason. Yoongi, without any reason? Can't you see his face? Grabbed Jimin's face gently and showed him to the principal. Principal, I saw everything, mister, but please try to understand. Yoongi, I don't want to understand anything. I just want to meet his professor. Are you calling him or not? Principal, scared. I'm calling, sir. Please calm down. He called the professor and within 2 minutes, professor came inside the office. Professor, sir, you call me? Principal, someone is here to meet you. Yoongi turned around and asked to Jimin, is he the one who did this with you? Jimin slowly nodded his head. Yes. Professor, yes, mister. How can I help you? Yoongi, cold. Min Yoongi. I am Min Yoongi and you? Professor, I am Mr. Choi. Nice to meet you. Yoongi, why did you beat him? Professor, look at Jimin. Who are you to him? Yoongi, I am his cut-off. Jimin, before Yoongi can complete, he cut him off. He is the son of my dad's friend. He remembered how he addressed him to doctor, so he said the same. Yoongi, did he ask to you? Jimin, scared. No, sorry. Yoongi looked at the professor. I am his local guardian. Tell me, why did you beat him? What's his fault? Professor, first he didn't completed his work. He lied to me, then argued. He even raised his voice too. Jimin, it's not truth. Yoon, please trust me. I already submitted my assignments to his cabin. Professor, you again start lying. Don't you know anything except lying? Jimin, teary eyes. I'm not lying. Tried his best to make Yoongi trust on himself. Yoongi wiped his tears with his hands. I trust on you, Jimin. Tell me what happened earlier. You don't need to escape from anyone. I'm here with you. Don't be afraid and tell me everything honestly. Sending death clear to principal and professor. Jimin, thanks Yoon. I already submitted my assignment in his cabin in the morning, but he didn't believe on me. Professor, pure lie. He didn't completed his assignments. That's why he is lying again and again, said sarcastically. Yoongi shouts and slams his hand on the table. Jimin never lie. He completed his assignment in front of me. Even I checked his assignment and praised him for his handwriting. He did his 1 month assignment in just 1 day. Don't you dare to say he lied. Hearing his scary voice, everyone in the office shivered. Professor, but I didn't receive any assignments. Yoongi, Jimin, why did you leave your assignment in his cabin? Why didn't you give him by yourself? Jimin, he told me yesterday by himself to submit the assignments in his cabin. He said, I want your assignment on my table till tomorrow morning. So I did what he said to me. Yoongi to Professor. He did what you said to him, then why the hell you beat him? Hearing his roar, shiver ran down to their spine. Yoongi was very, very angry. Professor scared because he lied to me. Yoongi straight looked into Professor's eyes. Where did he lie? He already submitted his assignments in your cabin. Professor. But I didn't get any assignment in my cabin. Yoongi. It's not his problem. You told him to submit his assignment and he did. His responsibility was ended. Professor. But it's not the only thing he did. Yoongi. Oh really? Then tell me, what did he do? Professor. He was arguing with me and raised his voice as well as he misbehaved with me. Yoongi. I don't believe you. He never raised his voice on anyone. I know him. Professor. Then why don't you ask to him? I hope he doesn't lie to you at least. Yoongi. He never lied to anyone. Jimin, tell me the truth. Did you argue with him or raised your voice on him? Jimin. No, I didn't argue with him. I was only trying to tell my side of his story too. He didn't let me explain anything. He only blamed me. Professor shouts on Jimin. Such a liar. Don't you raise your voice when I said you to apologize. Yoongi. Made Jimin stand on his back, or you can say hide him behind his back. Don't you dare to shout on him, Mr. Choi. He isn't alone this time. So it would better for you to maintain your professor's image. Jimin, you don't need to scare. I'm with you. Tell me everything. Jimin. Yoon, he didn't listen to me. I was trying to explain him that I already submitted my assignments, but he didn't ready to. Jimin. Yoon, he didn't listen to me. I was trying to explain him that I already submitted my assignment, but he didn't ready to accept this. I wasn't arguing. Then he suddenly slapped me. Tears filled in his beautiful eyes. He told me to apologize. Yoongi wiped his tears with his right hand. Don't cry, okay? And tell me, why did he tell you to apologize? Professor, he is cut off. Yoongi, send him death glare. I didn't ask to you. I asked to Jimin. Jimin! Jimin, he told me to apologize for not completing the assignments and making excuses, but I denied him. Then he, Yoongi, looked at Jimin. Tell me what he did. Grinding his teeth out of anger. To be continued. Questions. How's the episode? What will happen with Professor now? Will Yoongi leave him that easily? Author's note. That's it for today. I hope you all like it. Now what will happen to the professor? He dared to slap Min Yoongi's precious kid. Get ready to see real Min Yoongi. Upcoming episodes are gonna very excited and full of Min Yoongi. Are you excited? Is that even a question to ask? Of course you all are. Well, can you all comment after writing first, second and third? You all left after writing first, second and third. This is my new channel. Please subscribe it and share it with your friends too. Follow me on Insta and subscribe my first channel too. Link is in description section. You can find Introduction to Episode 3 playlist link in the description section. If you like this story, then please do like, subscribe, share and comment. I assure you that you will never gonna regret on your decision. Love you all. Thanks for watching.